from above. Listen to me, darling, and don't fall in love. You falling from a plane, girl, you falling from above. Listen to me, darling, and don't fall in love.
Welcome back inside the Now Morning Show. We are celebrating Indian Arrival Day here on the Now Morning Show and in Trinidad and Tobago, tomorrow being the holiday and the day we actually observe. But of course, this morning we want to give you a little bit of history as well, because that's a big part of the celebration, is understanding the importance and the role of the Indian Arrival. I mean, there's the replaying of the Fatal Rozak that happens at various beaches throughout the country. But one of the significant markers, at least according to the research that I've done, is Nelson Island. And that's one of the places that was like the hub where everybody had to pass through and everybody had to register.
Go ahead.
I was going to say 100%. It's very, it's to think about the fact that so many people would have come through there and we're all products of that today. Absolutely amazing.
Well, it is a bit of a history lesson, I would admit, particularly for me. It's not one of the factoids I remember, but this morning will refresh your memory because nestled in the Gulf of Paria, just west of Port of Spain, Nelson Island is more than just a scenic destination. It is a powerful symbol of our nation's layered and complex history. During our visit, you'll walk the footsteps of those who arrived between 1866 and 1917, when the island served as a critical landing, immigration, and quarantine station for East Indian indentured laborers. The indentured experience on Nelson Island.
Nelson Island is used as a national heritage site and used in particular for education and for really bringing the people of Trinidad and Tobago together in an understanding of their own heritage. The significance of Nelson Island. It is indeed a microcosm of Trinidad and Tobago's history. It is difficult to leave out anybody in terms of the usage of Nelson Island. So we begin with the first peoples using Nelson Island as a stop-off point, and then the Spanish and the British using here as a defense post. We have the indentured system happening here on Nelson Island, and 1970s, the 1930s here as a detention center. So much history right here on this small island. On the island, we have the ruins of the Protector of the Indians house. So these are stairs that would lead to the house. We have water cisterns, the Marion Hospital, the registration area. We also have on the island the mess hall. All of these would speak to the Indian experience on Nelson Island. So we have an exhibition curated by the National Archives, and it is on display at the Nelson Island Heritage Site. It is housed actually in one of the dormitories that the women would have slept on the island. And in terms of artifacts, we have some of the cultural elements that would have come with the Indian indentured laborers. We begin in 1866, all right? The first ship to come here for this particular purpose would have been the Humber. I would have docked right out into the Gulf, and then smaller craft would then barge the immigrants onto the island through this area here, we call it slipway. And then they would have walked up onto the island in this path. They would be medically examined firstly, because again, Nelson would have been used as a quarantine station as well. So those with communicable diseases, they would have been sent to Lenigan Island, and those who needed in terms of just convalescence would have spent their time here at the Marion Hospital, and then from there on to Trinidad. So after this medical examination, they would have been registered, and then sent to the various dormitories or the bungalows that would have been on the island. In 1866, the island could have held around 400 persons, and by the end of indentureship, 1,000 persons could have been held on the island. So from here, they're going to the Hall of the Peoples, the registration area, the 1802 building, which stands as a testament to our African forefathers. And it's still standing today. It is the oldest standing roofed building in continuous use. This building itself is the registration area and was used for that particular purpose, also as a dormitory. All right? So you would find here, in the time period, you would come through these doors and meet some of the officials who would then take your name, gender, etc., and thus have you registered. From there, they would then take you to the various areas. This is the assembly area, and this actually brings us to the end of our tour of Nelson Island, but actually the beginning of the experience moving to Trinidad to the various estates for our East Indian brothers and sisters. They would have met the protector of the immigrants, and he would have read the immigration ordinance, etc. for them, and thus then allow them to move from Nelson Island to the various estates. And what is interesting is after their period of work in Trinidad, they would have then had the opportunity to go back to India, and also some would have gone on to Guyana, Suriname, passing through Nelson Island. And then those from Guyana, Suriname, Trinidad would like to go back, pass through Nelson Island to India. So Nelson Island proved to be this hub for this immigration depot.